This is the third video addressing part two, in which we're looking at the individual ideas. And in this video, we're going to focus on the new social ideas that promote individualism, rights, and self-determination. But just to review, we're focusing on the second essential question in this topic. In what ways did the Enlightenment affect social structures over time? And the reason why we pull this out is that the economic and the political ideas are very important. The social ideas are going to have the greatest effect, the greatest changes in the existing systems. So, what we want to do is we want to identify and describe the new ideas and associate them with the names of the people that brought them up. So, when we focus on what the Enlightenment attacked, what the enlightened philosophers used the empirical worldview to question and come up with new ideas, was not only the old gender roles that were established, but also slavery. The first new idea is feminism, sponsored by feminists. And what this did is this attacked the patriarchal society. In 1791, a very important feminist by the name of Olympe de Gouges publishes her writing, The Declaration of the Rights of Woman and Female Citizen. This was during the French Revolution, and right after the French had created a new government that protected people's rights through a document called the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. In the Declaration of Rights of Women and Female Citizen, she overall argues for full equality in women. Now remember, women prior to this time period could not own property. Women could not control their own destiny. Women could not even, in most cases, have their own wealth. What de Gouges is saying is that she wants to give women the right of divorce and legal protections so that women can own their own property and exist on their own. Another woman who was a feminist, who also published her important writing in 1791, was Mary Wollstonecraft. She was a British philosopher, and in her text, A Vindication of the Rights of the Women, she argues that women should first of all strengthen their minds and enlarge it. And by doing this, they will end the blind obedience that certain patriarchal social systems propose. What she's focusing on is not full equality at this time. She's focusing on opening educational opportunities for women. For example, we still don't have public school, but women who are interested in and could afford going to secondary schools and later colleges were often denied admission because they were women. Now, as you can see, there was a lot of disagreement as to the extent of the changes, and that's going to be a common theme coming up here when we get to revolutions. And it wasn't until the Seneca Falls Convention of 1848 that feminism found a common set of goals. At Seneca Falls, which was a convention that focused on women's civil, social, and religious rights, the leaders, Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, published the Declaration of Sentiments. What this did this brought all the individual ideas of other reformers, including de Gouges and Wollstonecraft, into one set document that defined the feminist movement, establishing feminism, and argued for social change. In this, the Declaration of Sentiments argued for the right to vote, own property, and for women to manage their own lives, using the language of the Enlightenment. The next area, social area, that enlightened philosophers attacked was abolitionism, slavery. Probably the most important person that you need to know was a guy by the name of Olaudah Equiano. Olaudah Equiano was a slave, but was educated, gaining his freedom going to England. And there he wrote a book, The Life of Olaudah Equiano. And in it, he really revealed the horrors of slavery and the slave trade to the educated audience of the Enlightenment. The enlightened philosophers who argued against slavery claimed that it was repugnant and a crime in the eyes of God and man, and came to the conclusion that slavery was a violation of the natural laws and the natural orders and could not no longer be tolerated. Now, when we started this video, we focused on two essential questions. How did the Enlightenment shape the intellectual and ideological thinking that affected political and economic reform and revolution after 1750? And in what ways did the Enlightenment affect social structures? So this video focused on social structures. Now, we've already defined the Enlightenment and explained why it developed. But when we apply the new empiricism to the new social ideas, we reveal that the religious-based and traditional social structures that kept women down and defined humanity into classes and integrated people of different ethnicities at a lower level was wrong, and replaced them with such movements such as feminism and abolitionism.